glad to really know somebody. I just wanna be enough for you as I try to find the words inside my head I need to say. I'll do anything, tell you everything for your energy. Oh, this is chemistry.
Welcome to CheMinistry, a relationship platform. This is our season opener on FOXSOUL, and I'm so glad to share this moment with you all. CheMinistry was created to bridge the gap between purpose-driven men and women who desire to progressively move their love lives to the next level. One of the reasons why I created this platform was to understand the male perspective, and I know a lot of you guys didn't know that, right? So in order to have a wholesome conversation, we have to have the man and woman. But at the failed relationship, I wanted to understand how the man thinks. So today we're going to be dealing with commitment, and we're going to have authentic, real conversation with real people who will talk about their experiences through adversity, through challenges, through successes throughout their relationship. So I first want to introduce our expert, Dr. Aldewan Tart. You've seen him on CNN, HLN, and also The Real Housewives of Atlanta. Welcome, Dr. Tart. All right, our first couple that we're going to have the conversation with is Jay Morrison, who is the co-founder of the Legacy Center, and his wife, Ernestine Morrison, who is an actress and also the founder of Greenlit Atlanta. Welcome, Jay and Ernestine. Thank you for coming. Thank you. Welcome. So we're going to jump right into it, right? So this is Jay and Ernestine, and guys, the topic today is commitment. And so how I want to start this conversation is I want you guys to tell me your experience as it relates to commitment and some of the challenges that you face or adversities or just your experiences over the years throughout your marriage. And I know you guys are newlyweds, is that correct?
Well, we just celebrated 4 years.
4
so I think
years.
that's still kind of new.
It's new. It's definitely new.
Yes. So tell me, what experiences or adversities have you experienced in the context of commitment in your relationship and marriage?
I'll leave it to the queen first.
No, you go ahead. You start.
Well, I think one of the big things for us has been not so much internal, but external.
Yes.
Both being public figures, my wife being an actress, and me being a public figure as a fund manager and an economic pioneer. We've got a lot of social media heat and other outside sources that cause us to have our own rifts and within the house.
Yeah.
But it wasn't so much just how we collaborate and deal with those things, but it was for me, how can I commit to my family to protect my family and provide for my family,
Right.
but make the smart and wise moves that keep me in the household here for my family.
Right.
So I had to make tough decisions as a man to know that I got to be mature enough to deal with those external sources, to make Ernestine know that she's safe and Kobe's safe, but that I'm not going to do anything that is dumb or that take me away from the household.
Right.
So commitment for me meaning being mature enough to be able to handle external sources, make sure the family is well taken care of and held down, but that I was disciplined in the decisions that I made to make sure that we dealt with external sources in our household.
Absolutely. So how do you not allow external influences to cause issues within the home? Because a lot of times, it's one thing to go through some adversity in private, But it's another thing to go through it in public, because then you listen to the chatter and then you develop your own perspective about what's going on, and it can cause some division, or you may start looking at your spouse like, okay,
Absolutely.
you know, is it true, is it not?
Yeah, I would say that, I wouldn't say that it's perfect and you're always like, we're not gonna let this external cause division in our house. I mean, I think that's fairy tale stuff. And I think in real life, you do start side-eyeing and you do start like getting in your head and you're seeing the comments and seeing all the external influence. And I think that when it comes to commitment, I said this earlier, I was a track athlete, so I equate life to track, like, right? Like I was dedicated to track. I stayed in my lane. I ran my own race. I practice for my own race, and I live life the same way. And it's hard to be committed to something like track, which is an individual sport where you're steering the ship and you're steering the wheel, and then to then join forces with another human. And it's like, oh, I have to share this wheel. I have to be committed to this person, just like I was committed to myself all of these years prior to marriage. And I think that just going through the rift and the raft and the external, it made us stronger, and it continuously makes us stronger because it grooms us, and it's hard. And when you think of commitment, you think of dedication, like you're dedicated to this. You're dedicated through the thick, the thin, the ups, the downs, the ugly, the gritty, and yeah.
So tell us practically, like, how do you navigate that? Like, how do you make the adjustments connecting with a new, like you said, 4 years you guys have been married, so it's still fairly new, right?
Yes.
And so you had your own career outside of Jay, and Jay, you had your thing going on before Ernestine. So how do you guys cleave? Like, what does that process look like in a new marriage?
Yeah, I think in the beginning we found what was common for us, and like we both have a love for people, and we both were like have a super big calling to pour into people and to sow into people, and I think that's where we connected. And we're like, you know, we're two different people, obviously, with two different like kinks and quirks and habits, but I think in the beginning of our relationship, setting that foundation was, what do we have in common, and let's start there, because it's easier to start with what you have in common, opposed to like, where are we different? Where does this not really intersect?
Yeah, Ernestine's a true Cali Valley girl. And I'm a Jersey boy.
Okay.
True East Coast up top Jersey boy.
Shout out to all the Valley girls in the building.
Shout out to all my up top boy, up top
I know
men.
about Jersey
Right,
too,
up top
so.
team. So, you know, for us, I think she hit a point that we took the opportunity to focus on our commonalities and not our differences.
Okay.
We accept the fact that we are different. But we found that there were things that we aligned on really well, and that if we dive into those things, they'll unite us past our differences. Okay. And,
So Jane and Ernestine, what y'all are talking about is an accommodation. Because we were talking about different styles that y'all have.
Yes.
Talk to us about how you accommodate when Jay is Jay and Ernestine, you're Ernestine, and they don't match.
what happened is we got to interject God into the conversation.
Okay.
Right, and in Hebrews, it talks about Samson and Delilah, and how Delilah had pressed Samson daily.
Yes.
Right, to the point that his soul was vexed.
Absolutely.
Correct, and it made him make a decision that was outside God's will for his life.
Right.
So even with my wife sometimes pressing me daily, I had to be rooted enough in God's leadership in my life, being the head of the household, to know how I got to move. So I moved in that way despite. Right? And that's real husbandry, that's real leadership. And so that was something that I was able, with this thorn in my side. And mind you, it was the hardest 2 years of my life to watch my wife pregnant, cry, be tormented, and knowing another man's doing these kind of things, and knowing I can do things about it, knowing people calling me to do things about it, but I had to lead by example in a way that led her, led the community, and led our legacy in a way that, you know, the Morrison name could be a name that represents God's values and will for our community.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and what you know, it says in the word, he who findeth a wife findeth a good thing and gains favor in the Lord. All right, so when we start talking about what you heard Jay saying, what I believe I hear you saying is that Ernestine is a good thing for me, because I would have clapped back in a way that was not good for me, my wife, or my family. So I had to see her, instead of having this macho attitude or this chauvinistic attitude, I had to see her as a good thing and to be able to blend.
Yes.
And then I want y'all to be able to talk about necessary conflict. So in a marriage, we think it's just about two people being in love and deferring to one another. And there's a lot of pressure on women to defer to the husband. But what we know about healthy marriages is in reality, they have healthy conflict so that the marriage can work for both.
Yeah, I would just say sometimes in marriage, you gotta let it burn. So when it's tough, a lot of times we flee and we run, but a lot of times letting it burn builds our character, it prunes us, it purges us, and it makes a better union.
Yes, absolutely.
Awesome. All right, guys. So when we come back, we'll continue the conversation with commitment.
Tell you everything for your energy. Oh, this is chemistry.
Before we went to break, we were talking with the Morrisons about commitment, but now I want to pivot to our next couple. I'd like to introduce Irena and James Tyler from Love and Marriage, DC. Thank you guys for being here. Thank you for being here. So guys, you are on Love and Marriage DC, and so we get a glimpse of what married life is between the two of you. And you guys have been married for 26 years. Yes. That is commendable. That deserves a hand clap. Absolutely. So what we're talking about today is commitment. And what I would like for you guys to tell us is, how do you navigate through commitment in your 26-year marriage, through the adversities and challenges over the years? Like, how did you get to this point?
So we've known each other for 30 years.
Okay.
We've been married for 26, and it's been not peaches and cream. Of course, you know, being together for 26 years, married, it's hard work. Takes a lot of sacrificing, a lot of forgiveness, you know, so it's been a roller coaster ride. But we're here, putting God first. Yes.
What about you, Jane?
And also, you know, having the right circle.
Yes.
You gotta have that right circle. We have a tight circle. We have people who inspire us, who've been married longer than us, mentors, but you gotta keep your circle tight and, you know, and loyal to you. Yes.
So of course she took all my answers.
I know I did.
Yes, you did. But to piggyback on what she said, we try to definitely keep like-minded people around us.
Absolutely.
We have a couple mentors in marriage stuff and as well as business. And between those two couples, our family, like I confided out in my dad when she's getting on my nerves.
Never.
And even my oldest daughter, who's 31.
Okay.
I'll call her and just say, your mother, we had it again, and she's like, well, you know, and then we just talk for an hour or so, and then I'm right back if I need to be.
How does this show play a part now that you're on a public stage, right? And you've been married all this time and you've worked out your differences in private, but now you're on the big stage.
Yes.
And so you have a lot of input from people who you don't know.
Right.
How has that impacted the marriage?
So for me, anybody follows me on social media, I clap back here and there, you know, when they bother me. I'm not good at these comments and these trolls. So we went into this situation knowing we're going to be good regardless. And that was first and foremost because we understand editing, the producers and what they want. They want mess, drama. And, you know, we just had to say, you know what, we give them what they want and we're gonna be good at the end of the day.
Okay. So what does that conversation look like behind the scenes? Because the way I understand reality TV, a lot of times you don't even know about some of the scenarios, if you will, that they create and then it plays out on TV for the first time. How has that impacted the marriage?
Well, we know the scenarios. So each week they'll give us a schedule, where we need to be, where we're going to be talking about, and who's going to be joining us. This is with the OWN network. Now, Bravo, you may get somebody to just pop in unexpectedly.
Okay.
But with OWN, there's an understanding that we know who's going to be there, what time, and where we need to be. we have that understanding that we're good, we're in a good place, we have a strong marriage, a strong bond. A lot of the scenes that were shown on the show were edited. So we don't know about the editing part. So we were actually watching the show like you guys. We didn't see it beforehand. So on Saturdays at 9 o'clock on OWN Network, we were sitting in front of our TV and we didn't know what people were saying about confessionals. We didn't know that they were talking about us on confessionals. We didn't know the editing that was going to be happening on the show. We didn't know how he was going to be portrayed. I didn't know how I was going to be portrayed. So it was like new to us. But again, even with the editing and what was shown on the show, we still got a strong marriage. So even with the trolls and opinions of people on social media, we sit back and we laugh at it. We know in real life, we have a great marriage. And nothing is going to break us up after 26 years.
Arena, James, but how though? Like, how do you have a strong marriage? When we look at, there was a lot of outside pressure, right? And Jamie honoring your dreams about shows and doing certain things, you honoring his dreams early on for his career. What do you all do to stay strong when there's outside pressure versus winging it?
Ooh. Well, like you said, I did honor her wish because I had no interest in being on reality TV. You know, she's into it, I wasn't. I'm more private. Anybody watch the show, the first couple episodes, I really didn't want to be bothered. And, you know, she had to get on me and say, hey, go ahead and cuss me out. I don't care, we're gonna be good, like she just said. So, you know, in those scenes, if anybody's seen it, when we having these marriage talks and they get a little heated, it's like, you know, marriages, you have these discussions, you know, you're gonna raise your voice. But with us two, after those scenes, we're gone, getting food, back laughing, and we just kept it moving.
Has there ever been a moment where you saw the show together and you was like, wow, you said that? Or I didn't know you felt that way. Like, has there ever been a moment where it shifted? Like, you're like, I didn't know you felt that way.
Yes, ma'am. So coming into the reality space, I was like 90% ready to do this. The other 10% was, like you said, marriages do end on reality TV. I've seen it on other shows. It's a small few of marriages that last on the show. They come in, they happy, the next thing you know, they're going through divorce.
Right.
So I had that in the back of my mind. I was like, do I want to risk my marriage? I mean, we've been married for 26 years, but at the same time, I was also that 90%, I want to use this platform for my business. You know, I wanted my business to elevate, and then I wanted them to also see our family dynamic. So that was one of the reasons coming onto reality TV. But going back to your question, you know, when we see the show, it's confessionals. Yes. So I don't get to go in the room when he's doing confessionals when we shooting scenes. So it's been plenty of times where I'm looking like, oh, for real? Oh, that's how you feel?
She stayed throwing me under the bus. I'm
telling you.
How you know that? I said, okay, ask that again.
But tell them what the producers will say. If Raina said, so what you gonna do? You gonna come back at her? So they kind of stir the pot.
Me not being in this space, I'm trying to be nice to everybody. Oh, they tearing me up in confessions. So I just started, nobody was safe.
Did y'all talk about, because you know producers, they get ratings. Did y'all talk about what the producers were telling you? What did you do to guard your marriage while on reality TV to save it?
So I tried to guard it as best as I could, but this one, just want to talk about everything I did when I was 20, 25, 30. And I'm like...
She was telling it all, huh? She was telling it all.
Yeah, I'm sitting up here like, you know, that was 15 years ago. I mean, when you've been there with somebody, I was 20 when I met her. I'll be 50 next year. I know y'all can't believe it, but...
You look good, brother. You look good, man.
Real good.
She was 19 when we met. Do you know in 1993 how the world was, the stuff we was going through? you couldn't just talk to me on Twitter back then. You had to really know me to engage with me. And this world we in now, it's like crazy.
Was there a moment that you found something out about either one of you that you didn't know? Like you was like, wow, I didn't know that.
No, not for us.
Okay.
The only thing he was saying was that he didn't know that I was going to bring up information and details from 20 years ago.
Right, but I'm saying information and details.
Oh,
in
no,
that
he knew
moment.
about.
Yeah, was it things that maybe you said in your confessional that he never knew? Was it things in his confessional that you never knew?
Yeah, it was things in the confessionals that I didn't know that he was going to be saying.
Okay, but you knew
But
about
I
it.
knew about it.
Okay.
Yeah, I knew about
And
the situation.
for the record, the red light special, she was wrong about that. Anybody know about that? That ain't
I
what
was
happened.
right.
No, you weren't.
Ladies, I was right.
No, she
Okay.
wasn't. The bottom line is she called and I didn't answer. Bottom line, that red light, I don't know where she got that from.
But the thing is, a lot of the information and details that I did share was 15, 20 years ago. We're in a good place right now, so I really didn't have anything. In reality TV, people want drama. And we don't have any drama in our marriage. So I had to go back and bring up old information that we went through back in the day.
So you have to.
You have to make the case. So in an interview that you did on Good Morning Washington, you stated that when you guys started dating, there was no social media. So now we know how social media can make or break a relationship. Had social media been in existence when you guys first dated, do you think it would have impacted your relationship?
Absolutely.
It did.
We would have been in trouble.
It did. And we talk about this on, was it the show?
I think the news, we talked about it.
Okay, so you can talk.
No, I mean, it's just like what I said earlier, these people can literally DM her, me. They could comment on your stuff, and if you are weak or you let social media get into your relationship, you doomed.
And that did happen, just to be honest. So
did.
with me,
They did.
yeah.
Did
So
some
we
stuff come out from 20 years ago where a person wanted to they finally had an opportunity to connect directly to you.
with me. So
And then
we
they
did.
could
Oh, so
tell-
you know what? It was on the reunion. Did you guys see the reunion? So we discussed the inboxes that I was receiving from many guys and guys that he knew personally who wanted to have relations with me. So we brought that up on the show, and then Barry just go. I mean, people go through that. People inboxes all the time, but it never happened. You know, you can talk and inbox people all day long, but are you going to make that? You know, are you going to do it? Are you going to act on it?
Right.
I didn't act on it.
But as a man, Jamie, how did that make you feel? You didn't have any.
Dude, I was ready to go to jail.
He was ready
Yeah.
to go to
I
jail.
was serious. I had to talk. I moved out for like a week. That was a rough time. I ain't talked to her for like a month.
Yeah, we were in a rough
I-
place in our marriage.
She's talking to me right
Oh,
now. See, I told you she was gonna do that.
I'm trying
Nah,
to speak my
seriously. So I just had to talk to a lot of people around me, and I was like, bro. At this point, I had like, I don't know, 15. No, I had like 14 years on the job. I had a little more time to go. I was ready to throw it away because I knew one of the guys. I could find him.
Oh, wow.
You know, they talked me out the tree, and then we moved on.
But in my defense, is always a reason for it's something you're missing in order to entertain the messages and the attention that you're getting from others.
Right.
So there was a reason behind it all.
And I got my stuff together after we talked, and here we
Yeah.
are.
You, long as you're
Yeah.
making a change, you make a change.
Hey,
You gotta make that change.
it's rough, but you know, for all of you, you know, how do you handle social media when you all have different social media styles? How do you create a social media marriage style without losing your voice as a man or a woman?
I think for us, social media hasn't been a super issue for us because we both were already like big on social media coming into this. And when it comes to like people jumping in inboxes and all that, we don't really, those are not our struggles. And Jay's Instagram is on my phone.
She got all my DMs.
I'm half the time, if you DM Jay, it's me responding. So we don't even have, it's women's like, oh, I want to hire you for coaching. Oh, go ahead and see my wife and she'll send you the invoice. Thank you very much. But I think because we were both such big social media figures coming into this, it gelled really easily. Like social media is part of our daily life before we were together. So that's not our biggest. Now it's the comments and the trolls that it's our issue when it comes
I
to
did
social
hear you
media.
say something though. You said your Instagram is on his phone, so
Yes.
that means he has your password.
So he doesn't.
Vice versa, actually.
Yes, so we have each other's phone passwords, but he doesn't have my Instagram password because I actually don't even know my Instagram password. And Instagram will not let me reset it because I want it on his phone because we help each other get content and go live. But I can't if anybody works for Instagram, please help us out.
Tell you everything for your energy. Oh, this is chemistry.
I actually don't even know my Instagram password, and Instagram will not let me reset it because I want it on his phone because we help each other get content and go live. But I can't. If anybody works for Instagram, please help us out. I can't get into my
She
account.
has my password, my DMs, my login, my access. But I think the biggest thing with social media for us in Styles is the fact that I don't really clap back. It's like, listen, I'm an in real life kind of person.
Yeah.
But she will go hard. And I'm like, listen, if you're clapping back at these men, then you're gonna turn to me and say, babe, do something about it. So it's like, listen, chill out a little bit. So, let them have their way on social media, block them, delete, whatever. But
Yeah, I
overall-
definitely clap back. First of all, I'm a poet. This mouth of mine is something real serious. I clap back on Instagram.
Guys, so we want to take some questions for the audience. Do anyone have a question that they want to ask the guest? Stand up, please. Thank
Hey,
you.
Chi-Chi.
So, hey, boo.
That's my friend.
Yeah, we Instagram and social media wasn't really out when we got together as well, but we set boundaries very early. We don't do outside people or outside influences. We completely shut those voices out, and we also have access to each other's everything. So when girls be DMing my husband, I'll be block, delete, keep it moving, and vice versa. We don't play about each other, and I'm a Jersey girl too. I'm saved, but we don't want to bring out the other side because I don't play about mine. So both of us, we show each other everything, so we laugh about most of the stuff that comes through, but we keep that completely outside. And there's no locked phones, there's no secrets.
Yeah.
We're best friends, we tell each other everything, so.
Right.
Yeah.
Can I just add? I
You go
love
ahead and
those
ask your
two.
question.
I've been following them for years.
Yeah, give it up for Rod and Leticia
How
Gardner.
about them commanders? Hey.
The Gardeners.
Thank you so much. This has been an amazing panel so far. My question is to the couple that's been married for 4 years. In this social media generation, and you all brought up a great point about how social media was not really a factor back in the 90s. For couples getting started and looking to get to the place of marriage or getting out of that dating or endless talking phase, what is the right level of standard, not expectation, but standard when you're meeting a guy, you're getting to know him? How do you balance having the standard for yourself of communication, consistency, investment to eventually get to the point of building something without coming off like you're expecting too much?
Oh, that's a great question. Well, I have this acronym that I live my life by, and I have a mentorship program. I work with women called CROWN: Confidence, Resilience, Optimism, Willpower, and Non-Negotiables. And I say the N, the non-negotiables, is the most important part of when you're building your crown and you're introducing yourself to the world and teaching people how to treat you. You have to set boundaries with people, places, and things. And I think up front and very early on, I'll give this quick story. He hates when I tell the story, but I'm gonna tell it anyway. So we went on a date. He says it wasn't a date, but we went to dinner. And I lived in this, high rise in Buckhead, and he dropped me off and he just drove off. And I called him dead in his tracks. I said, don't you ever drive off without seeing me get into the door safely. That's a non-negotiable. It's a boundary. I'm teaching you how I allow men to treat me. And I think that when it comes to dating, up front, off the rip, you have to teach people how to treat you. And it's in the way you carry yourself, and it's what you accept from people, places, and things. Have those non-negotiables.
Thank you guys for joining me here at CheMinistry as we talked about the different experiences in your marriage in the context of relationship and commitment. Now, we've all been in relationships that we've stayed in way past the expiration date, and then eventually we connect with someone who is a better fit for us. Today, we're gonna bring out Fallon and Jalen from the Real Housewives of Atlanta. Welcome, Jalen. Welcome, Fallon. How are you guys? Good. Thank you for being here. So guys, we were talking in the back, and what I wanted to do for this show is I wanted to start with Jalen, right? Because we want to start, we can work our way backwards, but we want to start with the present, right? How has commitment, talk about your relationships in terms of commitment and how that has impacted you and brought you to where you are today.
For me is I'm still younger. We're nine years apart. So okay, we're 9 years apart. So it's more harder for me because I will tell you I'm young. I'm gonna see. I look at other women. I'm still young. I'm not gonna,
No, you don't. No.
I'm not gonna lie. I still look at other women. So commitment, it's not hard for me. But I know when I want somebody, I want somebody. But I'm still young. So. It's both ends of it. Okay. It's hard, but it's not
He's
hard.
learning a lot. He's learning.
I'm still
a lot.
learning.
I'm a bit more seasoned.
Right, absolutely. And so we know you from the Real Housewives of Atlanta, and you was previously married. How did you guys make the connection and decide that, you know, this is my one?
Well, on the show, I was married to someone else prior, and Jalen actually was my best friend. During quarantine, he was in IT, and during quarantine, a lot of people were out of jobs, and he was my best friend, and he was going through hardship. So I told him, you know, if I could put you on payroll and, you know, have you help me out throughout, you know, my businesses and just, you know, doing whatever needs to be done. So he became my first assistant based off of that. It wasn't easy. I had to convince him to do so. Because he's still a man. He was like, we're friends. I'm not gonna work for you.
So I want to talk about that because obviously we have one view, which is the show view with you being the pool, were you the pool boy? But now I'm learning that you guys are friends. Like I'm learning that there's a friendship, right? That a lot of us don't know about. So you guys already knew one another.
Right.
How long did you know each other?
A year and a half.
A year and a half. Mm-hmm. When did you guys decide, you know what, this is my person? When did you decide this is my person?
Right, because it really starts with a woman, doesn't it? I really made the decision that I wanted to be with my friend. It's kind of hard to talk about without talking about it. So I guess I'm just gonna have to dive into it.
Go ahead, baby, I got you.
It's so ugly. My ex-husband, he was not coming home at the end of the marriage. He was just going out without his ring. You know, he was leaving, you know, a lot of signs that he wasn't into the marriage anymore out of nowhere. I mean, one day my marriage was perfect. And then the next day it just wasn't. And during that time, Jalen was just, you know, making sure that as a friend that I was good mentally and I was still there for my children more so. Right. He really cared about just my kids, you know, and making sure that they're not affected. And at some point, right before I was about to move out of the house, our divorce was already discussed and everything like that. Right when I was about to move out of our house, that's when we decided to kind of just date. And then we got pregnant.
Let me ask you
our
this.
beautiful baby.
There are a lot of couples who get caught up when they date as friends. All right? Because the relationship is strong as friends, but there's no base for romantically, right? How did y'all negotiate going from friends to lovers? Did y'all have a conversation? What?
It wasn't no conversation. It just, we got a child together now, so it's either work with it or.
And it was hard at first. It was really hard. I mean,
because we were so used to talking to one another like friends, we didn't necessarily have any type of boundaries as far as respect goes in being with one another in a relationship. So it was really, we were a bit disrespectful at the beginning. I'm not gonna lie, we were, because we're so used to being like, but we shifted. It took some time. It took a lot of time. And I think when everything hit in the media, that was a bit unfair because now we had to speed up the process of our relationship and getting to know each other on a different type of level, even more so now, because now we're in the limelight.
So prior to the baby, were you guys looking at a serious commitment, or was it supposed to be a friendship that turned into a relationship because of the baby?
We did not choose to stay together because of our daughter. It's a valid question. No, we really just fell for one another, and it was just a lot easier and quicker to do that because we already knew. I mean, we know each other's deepest, darkest secrets, All right, let's calm down. It's not that bad. Let's take it down a couple notches. It's not that bad. But we do know each other's secrets. I mean, we know everything about one another. I mean, we know every scar, we know every traumatic experience about one another, and that's just something I've never had in a relationship before. I've always been with older men, and they were always in control. They were dominating. Even one of my relationships, I had a GPS on my car. Every day I wasn't allowed to go anywhere. I wasn't allowed to have friends. So being in this relationship, it's very refreshing to just be able to be myself. And then our daughter came of that love, and everything happened so rapidly, but I was so ready for it because I had been in so many relationships that were similar to this one, this horrible one that, just blew up, that I was just ready for what had come my way. And it was everything that I had ever prayed for.
It sounds freeing. I feel like you're released just sitting here with you.
All right, let me ask you this. How do y'all handle the age difference and gender? So a younger man, Jalen's still gonna be the man, right? And family, you're very assertive, right? And Jalen hopefully makes you feel very safe, but at the same time, I guess you have to balance your voice. How do y'all do it?
So I'll tell you this, her last relationship, she wore the pants in that relationship. So now,
I still do. No, I'm just kidding.
Now she's in our relationship trying to wear the pants, but I'm letting her know, like, hey, like, I don't have no low self-esteem. I know where I'm at, but I know I'm a man. I know what I have to do to take care of my family. So we're both still learning how to navigate and be equal partners instead of having a one-up on everybody or each other. I will say that.
Absolutely, it's definitely been a learning experience.
I noticed that you had a front row seat to her previous relationship, right? What made you pursue a relationship with Fallon in light of the fact that she was in a marriage with someone else?
She reminds me of my mother. My mom's a Taurus. Their birthdays, I can't. My mom's is the 20th, hers is the 13th, so about eight days apart, but she reminds me of my mother. Okay. How she's caring and she takes care of her kids, our kids.
His mom is a single mother, so she's a very strong woman. She wears the pants as well.
Yeah. I might not be able to bring what she has right now to the table, but I know for myself, as a person, I can do that for her. I can make her happy, not financially, but emotionally, spiritually, sometimes sexually.
Hey! Tell you everything for your energy. Oh, this is chemistry.
Welcome back to CheMinistry. Before we went to the break, we were talking about walking away from commitment. So our next guest is familiar with this topic all too well. She just exited a relationship with a popular R&B singer and actor. I'd like to welcome Zelly Timothy. So Miss Zelly, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. So before we went to break, we were talking with Fallon and Jalen about walking away from commitment.
Okay.
And what is your experience? Because we talked a lot earlier today. What is your experience in the context of commitment and having to make that decision to walk away?
I believe it's more so looking deep into yourself and thinking about, is this right for me? And wanting to stay in it or wanting to grow in it and really wanting to do it the right way. And if someone's not willing to listen to you, willing to grow with you, willing to accept you for who you are when they've met you that way, instead of wanting to change you and make you into something else, yeah, you just have to walk away. Just walk away.
So in that relationship, I heard you say wanting to change you, right? Is that something that happened almost immediately, or at what point did you sense that you couldn't be yourself anymore?
That's a that's a good question. That's a good question.
When did things change? Like, if you could tell the story, what was happening at that point in your relationship when things began to change? What triggered that response?
Change in me or change in?
Well, just not being accepted.
Okay.
You know, you came into the relationship one way, right? You had your endeavors and things that you were pursuing in your own life, and then you connected with this high-profile person, and initially was great,
Yes.
right? Am I correct?
Yes.
And then at some point, things begin to change. What happened? What in the context of the relationship happened where things begin to change? Or what did you experience, I should say? And this is your side of the story.
Yeah.
So what did you experience?
There was probably a multitude of things rather than just one.
Like, where do I start?
Well, we see.
It's like, oh, let me go back and.
Well, we know there's certain things that cannot be said. I think the question is, what's interesting is why men want to control women.
Yeah.
Right.
And why men allow women to be who they are and adjust to them, right? So oftentimes we think that men would influence status, but when you see are strong relationally, but when you start looking at men who want to control women, that's actually a weakness. A man who can be described as having narcissistic traits feels like he has to control because he does not trust love. Let me ask you this. Did you all see red flags, or did you ignore them thinking that they were going to go away before you all pivoted into healthier relationships?
Well, I'll answer one of those. I was with a very seasoned narcissist, and I will say the red flags are very well camouflaged, and they're not, they're very hidden. I think the red flags didn't necessarily begin to peak until I was already in it too deep and I was in love with that person. And then that's when the mask comes off. Once they know that they've got you, that's it. Now let me reveal my true self, and I'm gonna break you down.
Zelly, we see your body language. I mean, it is screaming. What do you want to add to that conversation about what makes a woman want to ignore red flags or ignore red flags and go against her intuition, and how does she get it back like you did?
Well, she explained it spot on.
I'm with you, girl.
But the thing for me is wanting to, staying in it because I thought I could change Whether it's, the relationship I was in or the relationship before that, it's more so staying in it because I thought I could change the person that I was with, and
Right.
wanting to say, I got this, let me hold on, let me keep going.
And
I'm a
that's what they
strong
tell
Black
us. That's what they tell us women,
Yeah.
that we should hang on to it. We should push forward. We should make it work. No matter what, especially when you're married, no less, you have to make the marriage work. It's all on you. The woman has to do everything. She has to be the mom. She has to be the woman who holds the household down. She has to have everything together. And she also has to light up for her husband, but also when she's upset, still stay and put up with everything.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's a very unfair.
It not only is it unfair, it's wrong. All right? So this is not my opinion. When you look at healthy marriages, there is mutual satisfaction. They are mutually satisfied in the marriage, right? And if one person is unhappy, that's a toxic marriage. And this is where the church goes wrong for the churches that communicate that, because most churches do not, all right? So they want you to hold on to a good marriage with issues, but staying in a toxic marriage actually takes 8 to 10 years off of your life. 8 to 10 years because of the stress and the cortisol that dumps into your body. So you all did the right thing by exiting something that was not good for you.
So Zelly, let me ask you, did you want to be in a relationship to start? Is that something that you wanted at the onset?
So no, I did not want a relationship to start. I really wanted to figure out who I was, to grow for myself, to figure out who Zelly is. And then when I did get into a relationship with you guys, it was friendship, and then it built into something else.
But did you communicate along the way?
I believe so. I know that I did, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So do you think that you're ready for marriage now?
Yes. I've learned so much from any relationship I've been in, particularly this one. I've learned so much from this.
Hold on, Zelly, hold on. So how does a man even approach you and have the security to date you now based upon who you were with before? All right? And certainly someone could, chime in on how you have the confidence to be able to do that.
Well, I'm looking for someone. I've dated before. I have people that's been in the DMs, that happens. But I really want someone that understands me, that want to make me laugh, grow in love with me, not just me being controlled. I want to just be with someone that understands me.
You don't have to have money to make a woman happy.
Yeah.
Right.
So
You still pay all the bills.
Zelly, what I want to ask you, how did the age gap play a role in your readiness to commit in a long-term relationship? Okay. Did that have an effect?
The age gap. At first, I didn't really care about the age gap. Well, I kind of did, but then we got into it and we started really understanding each other and wanting to actually grow with each other, I believed. So no, age gap doesn't really matter to me. Yeah.
So do you have a preference
A preference?
for the age of the man that you date?
At first, it was always around my age. But now that I was able to experience what it's like to date an older man, I actually like it. As long as they're chocolate and brown skin, I'm good.
Oh, there we go. Light-skinned brothers and fell out. There it is.
Sorry.
So, Zelly, what did you learn by leaving the relationship?
I'm still learning, honestly, if I'm being honest. I'm still learning who Zelly is, what Zelly wants, what Zelly doesn't want. I'm trying to heal, trying to grow, trying to figure out who I am.
What does Zelly want?
What does Zelly want? I want peace. I want love. I want happiness, whether that's in myself or in a relationship. That's what I want.
What about security? So when we look at marriage, a lot of women look at security. What does security mean to both of you? What type of security are you looking for? What's the right mix?
Well, security can mean a lot of different things. Are they spiritually secure? Do I feel safe? In my past relationship, I remember thinking every time we went out somewhere outside of the house that if we ever got into any type of situation or a brawl or something, that I was the one who's going to have to protect the two of us. That's how it felt. And in this relationship, I feel safe. I feel secure. Even financially, I was making fun of him. Like, he's talking about, don't take money. It does a little bit. I'm a stay-at-home mom, but he pays all the bills. That is secure for me. Mentally, I'm secure. Sexually, I'm secure. And yeah, I think as long as all of those levels are met, then that you could flourish off of that.
When it comes to your story, what I'm intrigued most by is that you did the exact opposite of what most women would do, right? I've even been guilty of it many, many years ago, because I'm older now, of staying in it even though I know that the relationship is not right for me. Even though there were characteristics, a lot of infidelity, a lot of dishonesty, a lot of things that I would not agree to today, I tolerated. But one thing about you walked away. And so I just want to commend you on that. And that's one of the reasons why I invited you here, is so that you can talk more about your experience and, why you made the decisions that you made.
So right now, I'm not gonna say that, my relationship is completely over. We are still going through therapy. I'm still trying to figure out who it is, what it is that I want to be with. So yes, I did walk away. Yes, I chose to, but we are still trying to figure it out. So I can't really say that I walked away, but we're still trying to figure it out.
I love that. Thank you guys for joining me here on CheMinistry, and thank you all for watching, and stay tuned for the next episode of CheMinistry right here on FOXSOUL. And if all minds and hearts are clear, let the church say,
Amen.